Have an update for you guys about the East Valley real estate market. Let's go through it. I wanted to start with Chandler and start on the supply side of things. One of the best ways to track supply is obviously active listings, the supply of homes that are available for sale. On this chart here, I'm showing this year, 2022, last year, 2021, and 2016 to put into perspective what more of a normal market looks like. You can see in the active listings here in 2016, the curve is relatively flat. It has some seasonality built in. As you go through January and get into February, you're going to see the numbers increase. And of course, as you get into October through the end of the year, you're going to see a decrease. But overall, relatively flat. 2021 actually was also fairly flat, just a lot fewer homes available for sale, which is part of what was pushing up home prices. Not many homes for sale, demand was off the charts because low interest rates and pushed the prices up. Well, now it's a totally different story here. This year, we obviously have had a huge increase in the supply of homes available for sale. Chandler's no different. But the last 8 weeks or so, it's been rather interesting. It's been relatively flat. In Chandler, you had a high of 610 homes available for sale several weeks back. You had a low of about 568 homes available for sale, and currently we're at 600. So from the low to the high, it's an increase of about 7.4% or so, and we're sitting a little bit higher to the top, relatively flat. So that's a good thing. We're not seeing more and more people dumping their house onto the market. Gilbert, we are still increasing a little bit, but still in the last same time period measured, we're at a high of 825 homes for sale, and we had a low of the same time frame of 754 homes for sale. That's a difference of about 9.4%. So still relatively in line with what we see in Chandler. Going over to Mesa, Mesa has a larger supply of homes in general, but it has a high of 1,212 homes for sale. Right now it's at its high, and 8 weeks ago the low of that 8-week time was 1,083. That's a difference of almost 12%. So things are a little bit worse in Mesa in terms of people putting their house up for sale, increasing that overall supply. Queen Creek, obviously the worst. You can see how much higher on this graph it is in 2016. Well surpassed what was normal then. And Queen Creek being the furthest out from Phoenix, you tend to see this more in further out areas. But even in the last 8 weeks, whereas the other cities have somewhat leveled out, Queen Creek is still just climbing. Right now it's at 1,159 homes available for sale. 8 weeks ago, it was at 974 homes for sale. That's a difference of 19%. So that's quite a difference. That's really going to have an impact on the other numbers overall. Now, the second component of supply I want to look at is the days of inventory. And this is how long would it take to sell through all the rest of the homes that are currently available for sale right now. If no other homes came on the market for sale tomorrow, how long would it take to sell through the current supply? So you want this number to be as low as possible, within reason. Lower tends to be better. It means there's a good, healthy market. The higher this number goes, the more it's a buyer's market. 2016 for Chandler, we're still below those levels. 2016 was a very balanced market. So in Chandler, we're on our way back to a more balanced market. We're still in actually a balanced market, but 2021 was incredibly low. I mean, we were selling through the amount of the homes on the market very, very quickly. This year started out no different. The last 6 weeks in Chandler, this has been relatively flat. We have not had more homes coming onto the market, and they are still selling through fairly normal for the last 6 weeks. So, we had a high of 71.9, which is right now days supply, and we had a low of 69.3. So that's only a difference of about 3.75%. Really not too bad. Gilbert is still increasing, but also for the last 6 weeks has started to flatten out a little bit. It has a high right now of 80.6 days to sell through and a low of 74.2. That's a difference of about 8%. So it is more than double what Chandler's is, but still not terrible. It's in those relatively normal levels of what 2016 is. All right, let's go over and look at Mesa. Mesa is still a little bit lower than what it was in 2016 and also fairly relatively flat. We had a high of 74.7% a few weeks ago and low 6 weeks ago of 68.3, difference of again right around 9%, so very similar to Gilbert in that fact. And then let's go over to Queen Creek. Queen Creek, of course, is a bit worse in terms of this metric. Right now, it's at 99.2 days to sell through its supply, and it had a low of 85.7 6 weeks ago, and that's 15%, almost 16% difference, 15.75. So, you know, Queen Creek is obviously lagging here in terms of metrics to see how healthy the supply is. Supply continues to increase and homes continue to take longer to sell in Queen Creek, whereas Chandler is doing the best. Let's move on to the demand side of the equation now. Demand is going to be measured mostly by listings under contract. You could look at homes sold, but that is a little bit delayed simply because a home goes under contract and takes 30 to 60 days to close. So any closings that are now showing were under contract a month to 2 months ago, whereas listings under contract could have gotten under contract as early as yesterday and have not closed yet. These homes could fall, out of contract. That is something to keep in the back of our minds, but it is a better metric of what the current demand is. So again, same stories last time. 2016 is on here as a measure of what a normal market would look like. That's the pink line. We've got the navy blue line of last year, and then this beautiful yellow-green puke color representing this year. We are staying relatively flat. We're no longer decreasing, at least for the time being. With the interest rates going up recently, this is probably going to change. We had an uptick here in August because interest rates had gotten lower at that time, but with inflation coming out as increasing here last week, we're likely to see this start to trend back down for a little bit. And then seasonality is also going to start to be kicking in. So I would expect this listings under contract or demand to go down through the end of the year, but we'll see where we end up. So there's Chandler. Let's look over at Gilbert. It's going to be largely the same story here. Had a peak in August, still flattening out. Over in Mesa, we've got actually at its highest level right now. But relatively flat overall. And then let's go look over at Queen Creek. Queen Creek is also relatively flat right now. It's at its kind of 6-week high. So demand is looking good right here, but again, with the change in interest rates, I don't anticipate this staying, as well as seasonality kicking in, I don't anticipate this staying. Another good thing we use is the Cromford Index, the market index, to decide if we're in a seller's market, buyer's market, and is the market shifting towards one or the other. Let's start actually with these gauges here. And I know I say this every time, but just for those of you who haven't seen this before, on these gauges, a value of 90 to 110 on any of these gauges is considered normal or fairly flat. If you are below 90 on the market index, then you're generally in a buyer's market. If you are above 110 in the green area there, then you're in a seller's market. And the market index is just a combination of the supply and the demand index. Okay, so for Chandler, it's a lower supply than normal, but it's also a lower demand than normal. Because those are fairly balanced, it actually is putting us in a somewhat balanced market. We're over 90, we're at 95.7%. And in Gilbert, our supply is actually still even a little bit low, better than, or closer to normal than what Chandler is, but still low, but the demand is lower in Gilbert right now. And so we are seeing a lower market index where we are actually in a seller's market in Gilbert. Going over to Mesa, again, balanced market, more supply over Mesa, but also more demand there right now, which puts us at about 95, which is a great value we want to see. Queen Creek, unfortunately, is really bad right now. You can see the supply is above normal. It's at 133 again. Anything between 90 and 110 is normal. So the supply index on Queen Creek is really, really bad. The demand index is not that far off from some of the other cities, but that supply is pushing us over the edge where we're very much in a buyer's market in Queen Creek. So, if you're looking for a good deal right now, if you're in the market and you do need to move, Gilbert and Queen Creek are going to offer you some of the best opportunities as a buyer to find a deal because there's just more to choose from and you're not having as many buyers to compete with. All right, let's break that down on this chart here just so you can put some historical perspective on these numbers, okay? Again, 2016 is a normal market. The pink line, the navy blue line is last year, and this puke yellow is this year. So on Chandler, we are flattening out. We're actually increasing ever so slightly back into an even more balanced market. Gilbert, we are staying relatively flat right now. Increased a little bit, not much to measure. So we are still in a seller's market or in a buyer's market there, but we are inching ever so slowly back to more of a balanced market there in Gilbert for the time being. Again, with fewer buyers coming around because of rates, we'll see what happens, but that's what the story is now. Mesa, virtually the same as Gilbert. And finally, Queen Creek, we are still kind of trending downward, but overall flat. So that is where the state of the market is right now. I would say we are in a fairly balanced market. As we go further into this year, and if you do need to move, it's likely going to be more and more of an opportunity for you to get a better deal for yourself. Sellers are going to be more likely to be willing to contribute to the deal, to maybe do higher dollar repairs for you as a buyer, maybe buy down your interest rate, maybe pay for your closing costs. There's a number of things that you can do as a buyer to take advantage of this market right now. Sellers are willing to do just a lot more because they need to get their house sold. If you're looking in the East Valley right now, I think the best buys again are in Queen Creek and Gilbert. Home values as a result of this are likely to continue to decline throughout the rest of this year. I wanted to give you though a little bit of I guess good news on this, if you can have such a thing. Arizona State University was ranked as, here, this is according to the Business Journal, Phoenix Business Journal. It says Arizona State University has retained its title as the most innovative school in the nation as determined by U.S. News and World Report in its latest best college rankings. I was actually pretty surprised by that. The most innovative school in the nation for the second year in a row. So let's see what potentially is driving the innovation at ASU. It says the innovation recognition starts with nominations from presidents, provosts, and admission deans from schools across the country, and schools are chosen based on who is determined to be making the most innovative improvements toward curriculum, faculty, students, campus life, technology, and facilities. ASU pointed to recent initiatives to address academic inequities, to reinvent online education for students in the sciences, and to draw high-wage jobs to Arizona, as well as earlier efforts to introduce immersive virtual reality-based curriculum, achieve carbon neutrality, and contribute to urban revitalization. It says, by keeping innovation at the forefront of everything we do, we continue to change the way the world solves problems, Sally Morton, Executive Vice President of ASU's Knowledge Enterprise, said in a statement. ASU is breaking the mold for what is possible in our collective future by pioneering solutions that positively impact our students, our university, our communities, and the world in far-reaching ways. So, interesting what they're doing there. I guess they're really trying to push maybe virtual reality, making school more accessible to different demographics. I got to tell you, I don't know if any of you have done virtual reality. It's super fun. I have a couple of those Oculus headsets. They've done it with my kids here. It's just a blast. I couldn't imagine doing college through one of those things. I don't know if that's what they're referring to here, but it's cool to see that is a draw. ASU's campus, we have an ASU East campus, Polytechnic campus here at Gilbert, Chandler, Queen Creek area. It's all kind of right, all these cities are kind of right around that campus. And then you've got ASU's main campus in Tempe, which is also really not that far of a drive from any of these cities that we focus on. So really cool to see this. Here's some of ASU's rankings in the various programs, accounting, analytics, finance, etc. You can look through here. They've got some really good rankings here. Actually, supply chain management, number 2. That's interesting. The market continues to be the same. I think it's going to get more and more interesting over the course of the next month to see what these interest rates do to demand. I really think that it's going to pull back demand. We have seen, depending on the city, anywhere from 5% decline in prices up to, I've seen as high as a little over 15% in prices off the high from this year. We are still in positive territory since January in terms of overall appreciation, but like I said a few weeks back, I do expect that to be eroded throughout the rest of this year. Off the highs, I still think we're probably going to end up seeing somewhere around 20 to maybe even 30% prices declines in various cities throughout the market. We'll see where it goes from there. There's a lot of, I think, hopefully light in the tunnel as we get this inflation issue under control. But we'll see what happens. Whatever happens, I'll keep you up to date. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And if there's anything you want us to cover in the future, let us know. Also going to be bringing out to you fairly soon more of an in-depth look in various zip codes here in the East Valley. Like I said, my dad Chuck and I, we know this area really, really well, grew up here, both of us, and want to give you our unique perspective as people who just grown up around here and share that with you. So be on the lookout for that. Thanks for watching.